Welcome to A Mason's Work, the podcast where we review Masonic symbols and illustrate how they can be used to solve problems in everyday life. With your host, Brian Mattox, a proud member of the Craftsmen Online Media Network.
So today I want to talk about the Plumb. And to be quite candid, the Plumb is one of the tools that I have the hardest time with in the craft. And the reason I have the hardest time with it is because it is difficult to reconcile some of the concepts that the Plumb brings to the table with the balance of the tools. But I want to speak first and foremost, while we talk about the Plumb, I want to talk about how the second degree tools differ significantly from the first. The first degree tools are a lot about self-regulation and self-management, and I think that the second degree tools are very much more about placing the work relative to the rest of the environment that you're in. It's about doing the right work in the right way at the right time. Whereas the first degree is about doing managing yourself as a workman. You find that the secondary tools move the conversation to a different place. And so the Plumb about, in the catechism at the end of the degree, when you're, given the Plumb as a working tool, talks about walking uprightly through all your stations of life before God and man. And so when we talk about walking uprightly, we're talking about a couple of things, right? The Plumb itself is used essentially to determine a vertical line towards ground, basically, towards the center of gravity. And that uprightness that essentially comes as a result when you align something to that ground of being or that ground of understanding is would essentially give you a sense of pride in your work. It would give you the sense that your work is true in many ways to that reality. The difficulty there, of course, then is that's a very hard thing to figure out. And since all of these tools are relative towards essentially towards the work in space and time, you kind of have to start somewhere. And so the Plumb gives you a good sense of understanding about how you should endeavor to conduct that work in that upright manner. Now, I've talked about this at some length with some of the brothers in the craft in my lodge, and there's a range of conflicting ideas about what that means. But the very first thing that comes to mind for me again is the notion that by walking uprightly, you can hold your head high. You can look at what you're doing and be proud of your work, even if it's even if you make mistakes or it's got errors in it. It qualifies as the right work in terms of is it grounded in reality? Does it make sense? Is it good, upright work? But in many ways, I'm trying to be sensitive to the fact that defining what it means by using its definition is cheating. I don't want to be self-referential here with this. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on the Plumb and how it can be used in a sort of functional way. It's one of the tools, to be honest with you, that the further I try and figure it out, the more confusing it gets. But I think it's important to have conversations about this stuff because it's very likely represents an opportunity for growth and development. So we'll be talking to the rest of the week through some of the other tools that are out there. And we'll be coming back to each and every one of these as we go through and learn more or explore more as I find out stuff from other Masons out there and get deeper and further insight.
The views represented in this podcast are those of the speaker alone and are not representative of any grand or subordinate lodge.
Hi, Brian here. I wanted to thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you have any suggestions or guidance for further episodes you'd like to see or hear, whatever the case may be, please don't hesitate to reach out to me at amasonswork.com, and we will try and incorporate your suggestions into a future recording. Thanks.
Freemasonry teaches us that the true work is within, a lifelong journey of reflection, discipline, and discovery. At A Mason's Work, we help Masons bring out their best selves through meaningful self-inquiry and symbolic practice. From personal reflection to lodge engagement, we offer tools that turn symbols into action. Visit us at amasonswork.com. The work is within. The time is now.